Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we'll have more on the final governor debate that took place last night. And yesterday, the Suicide Awareness and Lethal Means Safety Summit was hosted to bring awareness to a tough conversation.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. The time is 5:30 on October 25th. Let's check in with meteorologist Evan Hatter for a look at your forecast this morning. Evan, did you bring some warm temperatures with you? I know it wasn't as cold this morning as it was yesterday morning when I came in.
Well, that's right, Madison, and as we head into tomorrow morning and even Friday morning, it'll be even warmer than that as we continue to bring milder air into the mountains. That's kept us fog-free as we've gone through this morning. Here's the view from our studios here on Black Gold Boulevard here in Hazard. Still at 50 this morning in Hazard, but no issues with fog this morning. Trip out to London Corbin Airport shows similar conditions, upper 40s to near 50, and out into the Big Sandy. Pikeville at 58 this morning, so milder, but also clear out there, at least in terms of fog. We'll see some clouds continue to kind of scoot through today. Warmer in the Big Sandy, upper 50s to near 60. A little cooler as you head towards the Kentucky River Valley in the mid and upper 40s to near 50, and just a touch warmer as you head out toward the lake country. We continue to see plenty of, well, dry weather as we work through this morning, and it will be a mild day yet again today. We should be in the mid-60s for highs this time of year. We'll do about 10 degrees better into this afternoon. Mid-70s daytime high, and that continues for the next couple of days. But the details on when those showers move back in a few minutes. Olivia? Excuse me, Madison.
It's okay. Thank you, Evan. A final debate between the candidates vying for the Commonwealth's top job. The Kentucky debate was held last night at the WKYT studios in Lexington. Democratic incumbent Governor Andy Beshear went head-to-head with Republican opponent Attorney General Daniel Cameron while discussing various topics impacting Kentucky. There were some tense moments. Grayson Passmore has some of the highlights.
Has not been hit this year.
In the final debate before voters head to the polls, incumbent Democratic candidate Andy Beshear and Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron debated key issues like Kentucky's economy, education, and abortion. Governor Andy Beshear started off the debate touting economic advancements in the state.
We are coming off our two best years for economic development in our history. This administration set a record $27.5 billion new dollars invested in us, invested in Kentucky.
When asked about the state income tax, Beshear said he would not totally eliminate it. Cameron continued to promise to do just that, saying he believes it's necessary to battle rising costs.
Inflation is rocking your wallet and is killing your savings. It's more expensive to buy groceries, gas. It's more expensive to buy everything.
The two again went back and forth on their plans for education. Beshear says he wants to invest in the public education system by giving an 11% raise to school employees across the board.
My opponent supports vouchers, which would take money from public schools and send them to fancy private schools, tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars sucked out of a system that already has such challenges.
When repeatedly asked, Cameron would not say whether he supports school vouchers. He instead described a 16-week after-school and summer school program to address gaps in education.
And you're going to hear the governor in his rebuttal talk more about vouchers. But you, the parent tonight, I want you to know that in the Cameron catch-up plan, we're going to catch your kids up on the disastrous decision that Andy Beshear made to shut down our schools for nearly 2 years.
Another question repeatedly asked tonight and throughout this race is whether each candidate would support an abortion ban that includes no exceptions to rape or incest.
No child should ever have to carry the child of her rapist.
Well, I've said repeatedly that if those exceptions were brought to my desk, I would sign them.
In Lexington, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
Our sister station WKYT caught up with the candidates just minutes after last night's debate. Here's what both candidates had to say after taking the debate stage for the last time before the election.
Well, it was a good opportunity to tell the Commonwealth about our record of record-setting economic development and our plans moving forward as far as increasing teacher pay and pay for every public school educator that was out there. In the end, I think people saw one candidate who is for something and one candidate who is against someone.
Well, I think it went well. Again, you saw a contrast between me and Andy Bashir. I'm running towards the issue of trying to tackle violent crime, address the learning loss that happened during the governor's decision to shut down our schools, and I want to eliminate Kentucky's income tax. And I think there's a big stark difference between me and the governor on those things.
The University of Kentucky Student Government Association hosted a watch party for last night's Kentucky debate. Students gathered to watch and analyze the candidates' ideas and policies. They say following events like this is important for their generation especially.
Regardless of how old or young you are, what's going on in our government at the city, from the city all the way up to the federal government, is impacting our everyday life. And students have just as much power in their voice and in their vote as someone who is, out of college and is established in the world. So I don't think that that voice should be given up just because there isn't as much access to that kind of environment.
And a popular election denier, Mike Lindell, is encouraging his supporters to sneak a Wi-Fi monitoring device into Kentucky polling places, as he believes the device can help detect and uncover election fraud. But Secretary of State Michael Adams disagrees. The Kenton County Board of Elections has already voted to disallow these detectors at polling places. County clerks want to remind voters to follow state laws or risk prosecution, as violators could face jail time.
You are allowed to bring your cell phone to the polls. You are allowed to take what's called a ballot selfie. You are allowed to take a picture of yourself with your ballot if you like. It's the First Amendment. You get to do that if you wish.
The election takes place on Tuesday, November 7th, a little under 2 weeks away. Suicide awareness among veterans was at the center of an education summit in Paintsville yesterday morning. The Suicide Awareness and Lethal Means Safety Summit was the first of 4, meant to bring awareness to veterans' mental health. The goal was to gather professionals and community partners to share what is and what is not working in their respective communities. Officials say they hope to help veterans feel supported by their community.
One thing we all agreed, we need to get the message out to the community and get feedback for the community. There are a lot of struggles in Eastern Kentucky, and I think it's fitting for us to start here in Eastern Kentucky to get the on-the-ground truth about the problem, but also develop solutions with professionals that are from this area as well.
The task force hopes to host the summit in other parts of Kentucky as well. Officials also say having open conversations about veterans' mental health is the best way to normalize not being okay. We now know the name of the man found dead in Lake Cumberland last week. The Pulaski County Deputy Coroner tells WYMT the body found was identified as 28-year-old Robert E. Lee of Somerset. The cause of death has not been released. The deputy coroner also says Lee's body was taken to the state medical examiner's office in Frankfort for an autopsy. A man convicted of shooting and injuring the Norton, Virginia police chief in 2021. 38-year-old James Buckland of Pound, Virginia, was found guilty of several charges after a 3-day trial in Wise County. Buckland shot Norton Police Chief James Lane 5 times in his police cruiser when he was responding to a shoplifting call near Walmart. Buckland was also shot and injured. He will be sentenced in January and faces up to 2 life sentences plus 11 years. FEMA has approved more than $11 million for the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management for debris removal from last summer's flooding and mudslides. FEMA says following last year's events, removing debris became a critical mission to help address the immediate threat to the general public's health and safety. Here's what Kentucky EM Director Jeremy Slinker had to say in a statement, quote, "Every disaster is unique and brings its own set of hurdles to overcome, particularly with debris. The challenge we face in this response was unlike any we had faced ever before. I am proud and thankful for the many partners that had a hand in helping Eastern Kentucky." We have more about this on our website at WYMT.com. AAA Bluegrass is working to expand the state's slow down, move over law. The current law requires drivers to move over when emergency personnel Construction workers and roadside crews are on the side of the road. The law does not include stranded drivers. AAA says every year across the country, about every other week, a tow truck driver is hit and killed. Seth Pierce with AAA Bluegrass says every person who works roadside has had a close call.
You're having to do your job and kind of keep an eye on the traffic at the same time. If you can't get over, don't be fighting to get over and, you know, try to cause another accident. Just, you're really slowing down to a survivable speed is kind of what we call it.
Lori Weaver Hawkins with AAA Bluegrass says between 2017 and last year, about 2,000 people were stranded were killed across the country. A program in Pike County is building on years of success, working on the latest in a series of tiny houses. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more.
A tiny house with a lot of heart.
I've had girls cry when we sell it and it leaves.
The Phelps Area Vocational School's carpentry class is constructing its 8th tiny home.
My family's not even that one day.
The project gives students hands-on work in building, scheduling, budgeting, and more.
These kids will have a good start on any construction site.
With students picking up trade experience to carry on past the graduation stage.
Last year, I had a kid graduate that is in Cynthiana, Kentucky right now, building houses and remodeling.
Instructor Don Page says the students learn more than just carpentry.
Working with each other in confined spaces. I mean, it's, you know, you have to learn to get along with people, work with people.
Last year's tiny home sold for $55,000, which was a $7,000 profit, allowing the students to see their work has true value.
I just enjoy doing this because it also helps people that's like not looking for an actual house, but look for something they can travel in and go anywhere they want really in.
Providing tools and techniques.
It'd be useful, especially for if I ever want to do carpentry or anything with woodwork or building.
That let the students do what they love most.
Probably hands-on. Right. Get my hands dirty. That's all I like to do.
In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The program is funded through KVEC as well as the profits made from the current year's tiny house sales. Officials say the program has been a success as one of less than 10 programs in eastern Kentucky. Coming up, Apple is getting ready for Halloween with a special treat for its customers.
And will Halloween look a little cooler here in the mountains? Detailing where we are headed towards the spooky day.
What would Daniel Cameron's Medicaid plan mean for my patients?